Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. We're here playing in Arkadia. Actually, I'm not playing right now. This is pre-recorded video because this was quite late at night. But this is the shared event that went on Planet Arkadia over this past weekend. So it's been a while since I hunted seriously, or I even put out like a hunting video. And a lot of guys ask me to put out like a hunting video and stuff, but it always like begs a question with me is, you know, and a lot of people ask me the question is, why don't you hunt? Why don't you put more hunting videos and, you know, do a lot of mining? And well, I'm just gonna kind of answer that and talk over the footage here. Before I answer that, this was a really cool event, and I hadn't picked up a weapon in months. It's like since last year, so I really haven't hunted before this since last year. So I'm kind of like fumbling along and just kind of trying to get in as much shots as possible. And if you didn't get to this event, like it's pretty good footage. You'll see a lot of the higher level mobs here. So, like, some of these creatures are just massive, and the artwork is really cool on a lot of them. And it was just it was a great experience. A lot of people were actually healed, and I don't know, I think they were officials standing up. You'll see it in a couple of the shots. There's a couple of avatars standing up on the walls behind us with stars above their heads, and I think those are minor officials. You can see the little purple heal things around people every once in a while too. And, it's like instant heal pretty much. Well, almost. It was like 150 HP heal, so close enough. So yeah, the Oratans. While I was here, and I was here a couple times, I didn't get any sort of cool loot drops. I don't know of any. I'm sure something had to have dropped that was halfway decent. But I did see a lot of big hoffs. Unfortunately, none that I was a part of. So, but you know, that's just the way it goes. So, like, just to answer the question, you know, why don't I hunt? This is a long, drawn-out question, so you don't want to hear it. Just fast forward to the next video. Hunting is for me is not like it used to be, and what I mean by that is that there are how many planets now? There's 2, 3, 4, 5, something like 6 planets. There's, you know, or no, 8, 7. I don't even know. There's a shit ton of planets. That's my point. There's a lot of content in the game. There's a lot of areas to hunt, and it's not as easy to hunt as it was, say, 6 or 7 years ago. Now, this is my opinion, and this is, you know, and I'll say how I got to this. Look at this thing. Like, this is what I was talking about. Like, this gigantic Camalodon rider. I mean, this thing's badass looking. It's just kind of spearing everybody. Or, it's more like a halberd, but yeah. So, hunting the way it used to be, and I used to be a really big time hunter. I mean, I used to mine here and there, but I used to kind of mine between hunting, and I used to hunt Fefox and Umbranoids. And Umbranoids aren't in the game anymore. There was an event that happened that took them out of the game, and it was right before the Crisis update. But, and Oliphils too. I used to hunt them a lot too, because it was easy. And this is back when Planet Calypso was just the 2 continents, Amathera and Eudora. And it was just easier to, you would basically watch the globals on the screen, and you would write down the globals on a piece of paper, right? Now, there would only be maybe 2 or 3 spawns of each creature. So, like 2 or 3 spawns of Fefox, and maybe I could think of 2 spawns of Umbranoids right now. I'm sure maybe there was 1 more, but so if you saw somebody globaling on Umbranoids, and it was like a halfway decent global between, you know, 50 to 100 ped, or I'm sorry, more than 100 ped. 50 ped's really not much of a global. You would go to one of those areas, and you would see who's globaling, and you'd write down the name, you'd go to that area. If they're there, then you would hunt there. And it was really that easy. You were just chasing down the globals. And then, speaking of globals, there you go. Yeah, I got a whole, like, 2 ped off of that one. So, in that essence, it was easy. Like, if people were hunting Fetfox and they're in a certain area, you could just kind of locate them and then find that hot area, and it would work. It would work like 90% of the time. Also, back then, it was a lot easier to gauge the globals, too. What I mean is that you would start getting... Like, your regular loot would be like a pet on, say, Olifils or something. And then it would jump. It would jump to, like, you'd have a 4 or 5 petter, and then you'd have a 20 petter, and then a global. You would write down the time that you got the global, and you'd come back an hour later, and pretty much you would get a high loot as long as you were killing within that couple-minute time frame. So, it was much easier back then to, you know, kind of profit. Now, a lot of people didn't understand that because economy was a huge thing. Back then, I was using Maddox 4 with a Dante, and back then you could put a Dante amp on a Dante without having that penalty that they have now. You can't put a humongous amp on a small gun anymore. The biggest thing back then was hunting Argonauts north of Twin Peaks with an Apollo, with the biggest amp that you can afford, and it was, you know, typically like an A106, if you could even afford that, because they were so much money. And in fact, I think it still are, or an A105, or something bigger, you know? So you're looking at super efficient, like super economy gear with basically hopping around from hotspot to hotspot. And these hotspots would be like really easy to find as long as you were paying attention to the globals and you were writing down the globals on a piece of paper. So that's pretty much why I don't really care to hunt now, is because unless you get lucky or unless you have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of plan or super persistence to just pay attention to the global screen all day and hopefully hop on a hot area, it's super hard to do that. That global was a little bit better, not much though. And certainly you could go around and you could find those hot spots, and I think right now it's purely by luck. Obviously we're here, this is, you know, it's an event, the shared loots are typically hot, but you usually lose ped. From this event, I have not lost a lot of ped. It's like, I mean, when I say not a lot, I mean like maybe 20, 30 ped. And I've been back and forth in this event a couple times today, so it hasn't been that bad. Yeah, so that's what that is. That's why I don't like to hunt. Because it's not easy to make ped. In fact, it's super hard. I think really the last time I actually sat here and hunted something serious was the Riptor event, and that was, God, how long ago was that? A year? A year and a half? No, it must have been not this last December, but this December before. That's the last time. And I actually did alright, because I actually made some ped on that. But every little instance that I try in between, it's just not worth for me to hunt. I just find mining so much easier, and that's why I like and prefer mining. I mean, the thrill of the hunt is fun, don't get me wrong. I love to see items being looted in hunting loot, and I wish we got some items in mining. And I think hunting is certainly a lot more exciting, just for that aspect, that you can loot these cool different items, you can loot unlimited items, and it does have an advantage, you know, if you can loot them over miners. So, but your average day-to-day grind is probably going to be a loss. You know, I hate to say it, unless you're running a super efficient setup, and unless you have a plan to track down these globals or these hot areas. You know, Calypso could be hot one day, and you'd be on Arkadia. You know, the next you'd fly back to Calypso hoping it would still be hot, and then it'd be Entropia. You know, and that's kind of what I see from day to day. The thing with, you know, Entropia Life kind of helps things out, though. I think absolutely, if you really like to read through Entropia Life and everything, I do that every once in a while for mining. I will say that. I will see kind of what's hot for that day, because you will see certain trends every once in a while. No doubt. Oh yeah, there's the guy I was talking about right there. Long shot. Right? Long shot. Why is it not? Yeah, long shot. Pretty sure that's a monarch fish. I don't think that's a... Yeah, because he was talking. Yeah, that's right. He was talking to us, so he was up there actually healing us. So. Oh, one interesting thing that he did say, and I think is on here, what Longshot said, is that if a certain maturity is not doing well, try a different maturity of the same type. So that's right from his mouth, which, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about. Anyway, guys, if you like this, please rate it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe, and I will see you in the next vid.